forget that the people you're going to attract at the low price point, they're not the best clients.
Welcome to Marketing with Vino, the edutainment business growth podcast, mixing education and entertainment to make growing your service business much more fun. Your hosts, Quinton Venter, online marketing expert, and Gabby Kowalski, creator of the Business Freedom Formula, have a glass of wine and share powerful and up-to-date strategies to help grow your service business fast.
Hey guys, welcome to another awesome episode of Marketing with Vino. This is episode number 19 and I'm currently sitting here in Italy, in Roma, and Gabby is joining us from Melbourne. Welcome, Gabs.
Beautiful Melbourne. You know, it's a lovely dark evening as the sun goes down quick now. It's still a beautiful place though. Melbourne, you still rock. Well, mind you though, Rome is stunning. Like just absolutely right now. Tell us a bit about Rome.
Rome, the history of Rome is something that is that I'm so drawn towards. It's the reason why we go to check all the sightseeing, and I'm so fascinated by the Roman times and the Roman structures and the buildings of it. And yesterday we walked through the museum. Don't know the name of the museum, but we were watching. As we were going through, we were seeing all of the Egyptian stuff, and to think that those things are 2,000 years before Christ, that it's 4,000 years old, it is just incredible, the history behind it. Rome is just full of life. There's so much going on here. Absolutely love it. And where we are staying is just amazing. We're just outside of Rome, little small village, and it's just beautiful.
It's a village. Oh, enjoy. Absolutely. Like, Quinton's been posting the most sensational photos on Facebook. You really should share them in the Marketing with Vino Club.
Oh, well.
I'm sure the Marketing with Vino peeps would love to see Quinton running around in his sexy European scarf, taking photos here, there, and everywhere. Anywho, so what are you drinking, my friend?
I'm not drinking anything right now.
Again.
I'm not gonna drink.
We can't wait for Quinton to get back home. He refuses to drink before midday.
It's so hard because we drink at night as well, and there's just so much alcohol going on. But yeah, definitely.
I thought surely you're in Rome. There'd be some vino out, but no.
There is every evening, and it's delicious. The best stuff.
Best stuff ever. Okay, well, guys, I've got your back. I'm going to have a glass of wine with you. So, as you're listening to this, provided you're not driving, I hope you've got your wine ready. We're going to have an awesome chat, and we're talking about price points. So, one of the most important things in business is to actually know your numbers and to be profitable. And so, ultimately, if you're in a place where you're working a lot of hours, you don't really have a great more to give, but you're not profitable, it means your prices are probably too low. Or if you're in a place where your prices are too low, you would like to up the ante on your prices. However, you don't kind of know how to go about it. This awesome podcast is for you, baby.
It is.
That's right.
It is. And it's where we all start. We all start at that point where it is, how much do I charge? What is okay? What is accepted? And the fear of what happens if I charge too much and pushing people away. We're going to cover all of that in this episode. It's going to be an epic episode.
Awesome.
It's actually so in line, Gabs. We were in France just last week, and we're walking through this medieval town called Salah. And everywhere you walk, there's just so much competition because it's a town known for its pate and its goose and foie gras, and it's just delicious. But every second shop sells its own foie gras. So there's so much competition going on. The town that we went to beforehand was Saint-Emilion, which is a wine town. So every second shop is just a bottle shop, and each one has its own vineyard and its own wine. And all these tourist places, there's so much restaurants and so much competition. And Em and I were actually talking about it as to how would you separate yourself from your competition to stand out in this marketplace when you've got the town, people are coming, but how are you going to capture them? And one thing that we both agreed on was education. it starts with education, that people would pay for education. They would be coming to you for education rather than just consuming the actual commodity that you give. Now, the strategy that we came up with for these restaurants would be that, yes, the town is known for its fragua, right, or wine. So what they need to do is they need to get these tourists to come into their restaurant during the day or at a separate time, not for the food, but for a different experience, an educational experience. And what they could do is they could do a wine and fragua tasting, a special days that these tourists can come and try different fraguas, know what wines to match with it or know what foods to match with it. And then afterwards, obviously the call to action is, we are going to be serving this, or we've got a special dish that complements all of this. Come back tonight. Because yes, you've got all of these tourists shopping around, and we did the same thing. It's hopping from menu to menu. We are looking at the price. We're looking at what you've got, and we will make a decision based on the commodity. Now, that's one thing that you don't want to be. You don't want to be just a commodity. You want to be something that stands out. And Gavs has incredible strategies around that. And
oh, God, I love what you're saying, though. See, this is the thing, guys. There's a few things to get. And one of them is, if you're competing purely on price, which means you're dropping your pants, so to speak, to get the business.
That's what I had to do yesterday. Not in that way, but I had to drop my pants a little bit.
Totally different story. Sidebar, for Quinton to be let into a specific sacred place, he was meant to have pants that went over his knees. So he literally had to undo his button, push his shorts down to make them 3/4 pants, and then pull his top down over. Hey, look, you know what? It worked.
It worked. I got him.
Sometimes you got to be creative. So that's not what I mean by pulling your pants down in business. That's a completely thumbs up way of doing it. What I mean is, sometimes what we do is we're scared to charge a certain price point because we're scared that if we do, we're not going to get the business. There's a few things you got to get. One, if your prices are well below industry average and you're doing that in order to get business, your unique freaking selling proposition is that you're the cheapest, just get the market you're going to attract in the first place. And understand too, you're actually you're screwing your marketplace. That, if there's other people out there that had to become, experts in what they do, have built businesses, working their asses off to be profitable, you come in as a competitor, drop your pants, you're not profitable, and you're now starting to make life hard for everybody else.
Yeah.
So just don't wreck the marketplace. Don't ruin your industry that way. Two, get that the people you're going to attract at the low price point, they're not the best clients. The actual top clients, some of the best clients you can possibly get, want quality, and they're willing to pay for it, and they want experience. So it's backing on what Vincent said. Your price point should be a price point that feels congruent and is, has you feel valuable. What you offer, in your space is valuable. Imagine for a second if what you did not exist at all. I can tell you right now, if what Quinton didn't exist at all, it would suck for me because Quinton takes care of all my Facebook marketing. If there was no one doing that out there, I'd have to do it. And I don't want to. Ultimately, though, as you're listening to this, because, you're all in different fields, imagine for a second if what you did wasn't there. Your clients wouldn't get that benefit, that what you do adds value to the planet. And you should be rewarded equally, accordingly. So one of the things is stop dropping your pants and ruining it for your whole industry. Because imagine for a second if someone did that to you, that your price point's already low. Somebody else comes in and charges an even lower price point just to get in the game, and somebody else guess what? That's how industries die. That's actually how industries completely... I still remember, I don't know what it's like, but in Australia, years ago when I was at uni, I worked at a little Italian restaurant, and we made pizzas there. And this was fully, quite beautifully matched because you're currently in Italy. It was an Italian family-owned business, and we're talking all their amazing recipes. They made the most wow pizzas. Mind you, though, back then that was before the $5 pizza thing kicked in. So wherever you're listening to in the world, Australia or specifically, we got this thing where all of a sudden people wanted quantity. And all these shops started to open up with cheap pizzas. Now, here's us, this little restaurant who does amazing food. Our pizzas were like $20 odd each, but they were worth it. That's when, they took the effort into getting the best produce, the freshest, ingredients. Everything was fresh, everything was the best. Then all of a sudden the competitors came in, started, doing mass production of cheap stuff, and it actually killed the business. For the business to continue delivering, it couldn't. All of a sudden the profits have dropped. They can't continue giving the market what they actually want because other people have jumped in doing it super cheap.
Yeah.
And it kills parts of the market, which means the only places that survive are these cheap places. And you got to think of this for yourself in business. You don't want to screw your marketplace. So one is never ever undercharge based on what others are. Have a look at what other people within your industry are charging. If you're looking at how do I price myself, do your research. Have a look at the whole scope of how other people are charging within your industry and pick a price point that's somewhere in the middle if you're starting out or if you're just looking at upping your prices, and work to building yourself up to a premium. Now, ideally, you're going to succeed the most in business when you are one of the best, where you are actually doing the extra stuff, where you're adding more value, where, you've got a unique position. You're standing out. Like Quinton said, if you're a restaurant, do clever things, get creative you might be holding a cooking class with your chefs. It could be some kind of a tasting. It could be whatever, like getting creative and having your business not just be another one. Think of how can I innovate? How can I add value to my industry, add value to my market, and charge a price point that's actually going to have me, feel valued, inspire me to add more value, definitely not cut corners and start giving you less, and look at how I can, be cheaper in my operations so I can charge you a lower price point. And so there's a couple of techniques I actually share with my clients. And the reason why we're, by the way, having this chat is because this awesome chick in the Marketing with Vino Club, by the way, we have a Marketing with Vino Club. So go to marketingwithvino.com for our podcast. There'll be a little link thing there saying join the club. And it's a private Facebook group where you can join in and we get to hear from you, meaning that you can ask us questions.
Yep.
And so if you're not already in there, jump in. It's our gift to you, so you don't have to pay to be there. It's just so we can continue the conversation. Anyway, so back to...
It's a bit of shameless promotion going on.
A bit of shameless. Back to... so this lovely, awesome Marketing with Vino chickette says, one of her challenges is price point. What do I charge? How do I charge, what I'm worth kind of thing? So we thought, well, let's chat about that today. So one of the things I tell my clients is, have a look at, what you're charging to see if it's actually like ridiculously low. And then have an idea in mind of what you want to charge. Now, the way you want to increase your price point to get to a place where it's congruent is this. So just so you know, if you're, say for example, you're a coach consultant, and you charge, this can apply to any industry, obviously. You could be a hairdresser charging $50 for a haircut or $200 for a haircut, yeah? Now, say you're a coach consultant, and you're currently charging $100 for a consult. And you look around and no one's doing that. Like you're well below, what you're meant to be charging. Mm. And you want to be charging, say, $250 a consult, for argument's sakes. Now, this is the problem, that if you go from $100 to $250, but you don't feel comfortable with the $250, you're actually going to find that you don't sell anybody. You're going to become this weird, awkward kind of, just like you're going to get all weird during the close. Oh yeah, it's $250. Is that okay?
It shows so much insecurities, and the client wants certainty. They don't want to second guess themselves. If you're second guessing yourself on that price point, or if you're not being confident and secure in yourself, they're going to feel it, and it's going to sabotage your own sale.
110%. So you've got to believe that your price point is cheap. Like, you've actually got to believe that what you do, the value you give, is actually worth even more than your highest price point. Now, there's a couple of ways we do this. Some people are what's called internally convinced, and some people are convinced externally. So what does this mean? It means that some people actually need their external world to convince them that their prices are thumbs up, and other people are actually fine with making decisions internally and don't need the external world to tell them anything. Other people are like, you know what? No, my price point's $300, and that's what it is. and pay it. I don't care what anybody else is charging. I don't care that you can get the same thing for $220. This is my price point. This is why.
Yeah.
Now, if, the truth of the matter is majority of the population is actually externally convinced. So as a result, this is what I recommend. There's a couple of things. You want to literally look in the mirror and go, so when you go from the price point that you're wanting to go up to, you actually go, so if say we're going to take the case study of, let's go Mary. Mary is at $100 an hour. She wants to get to, $250 an hour. So what she does is she goes in front of the mirror and she goes, okay, my services are $120 an hour. And she has a look to see if her face color's changed, how she feels saying that. If that feels good, she goes, okay, my services are $130 an hour, $140, $150, $160. As soon as she says a figure that actually has her, she feels, and this is obviously you guys, as soon as you say a figure that has you feel a bit tense, uncomfortable, and you notice notice your the color in your face change a little bit when you say it, meaning there's a physiological change when you say it. That's your wall. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first thing is find out what's your next step that you need to be externally convinced in. So it could be that Mary goes, okay, 150, 160, 150. So the next thing for her to do is go, okay, I'm changing my prices to 150, not 250 yet, 150 because I actually feel comfortable in 150.
Yeah.
However, what we also do, depending on the nature of your business, actually no, all businesses, you ask yourself, how can I add even more value? Now, this could be in experience. It could be in, adding something cool to your package. It could be creating a joint venture with somebody who gives you something cool to give to your clients. So you're literally going, okay, I'm going to go to 150 next. And I'm asking myself, how can I add more value in this price rise? So it's not that you're just going, you're upping your prices, but you're also looking at how can I innovate? How can I improve? How can I do more cool stuff to up my value? Now, then what you do is you incorporate whatever that answer is, meaning that, if you go, oh, you know what, say you're a masseuse and you've got a beautiful massage parlor and you go, how could I add more value? Well, you know what, I could actually I could bring in fresh flowers, and I could lay fresh flowers in a bowl underneath the massage table. So when their little heads in the hole, they see like a bowl filled with lilies.
Yeah.
That won't cost you much per week. That could be a bit of added value I add for their experience. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you want to be thinking, yeah. So then what you do is you go, okay, here's my added value, here's my price difference. And then all you need to do is run with the 150. So some of you are going to be what's called one-time convincers, where you only need to do this once, meaning you just get one client at 150 and your external convincer is check.
Yeah.
Some of you are going to need 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 clients at that 150 before you feel comfortable to up the price again.
Yeah.
Now, this is what we do. So we go, okay, and you'll feel this. So once again, guys, it's about going, okay, you got one client, and then you test it. You go, okay, one client paid 150. I put the flower in under the bed,
It worked, yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah, it worked. Now, this is where you test it, and you go to the mirror again, and you go, okay, my massages are now 160. Hey, that feels good. My massages are now 170. That feels good. My massages are now 180. No, that doesn't feel good. And so then you go, okay, I'm ready now. I've had one client pay 150. I'm now ready to go to 170. How can I add even more value to the experience I give my clients?
Yes.
And then you find something else and you add that in. And does that make sense? You're not taking out of nothing. You're actually giving, you're innovating, you're thinking of cool things you can do, like Quinton mentioned, running some kind of a cool day where they can do little tastings and whatnot. It's like adding something, innovating. And you literally run this process. Now, if you find that it's, 5 clients before you up your prices, then you run that model. And now you know that you just continue doing that until you reach the price point that you believe is going to make you profitable, happy, and enable you to give the value that you really want to be awesome, to be one of the leaders in your marketplace.
Yeah, totally.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, throughout that entire process, what comes to mind is people will charge where they're currently at. So where you currently are in your journey as where you feel comfortable, you're at a certain level. And you're justifying yourself to be worthy of that price point. For you to get into the next bracket, you have to develop yourself to step it up into the next bracket. So it really comes into, as you're going into that journey of charging 150, what you're developing yourself as the character and thinking outside of the box and thinking of the next thing, next value to be added, you're then developing yourself and then stepping it up into the next price.
Exactly. Yeah, because you're making yourself worthy of the high end.
Yeah,
You
totally.
know, the truth of the matter is, if you already had the most sensational place, you'd already been in business for a decade, you were an absolute expert of in your field, you already had all the things in place that actually, that stepped into charging that price point, you would already. So the reason why people aren't in a place where they're already charging the prices that they should be charging is because usually they are actually kind of fresh and new in the business, meaning that their branding hasn't been rocked, like they haven't created phenomenal brand presence. They haven't, they haven't got like all their sort of T's crossed and I's dotted, their full client experience mapped out, where they're running a really high class operation.
Yeah.
So this is where, to me, if you're coming from a place of I'm undercharging to I want to be one of the best in the industry, what I've found is it's because you haven't systemized your add value, your uniqueness, and this helps you do it. It's like every time I my prices, I'm going to add more value, I'm going to be even better, I'm going to look around what's going on in the industry, and I'm going to ask what's missing that would make the client's experience even more phenomenal, that would get their result even faster. And you're constantly innovating, which gives you like when you up your prices, you don't feel like you're going, well, I've always been this way, now I've just charged double. It's like congruent with you feeling like, well, I've done this, so I deserve to charge more.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's also to think about, I remember my mentor telling me this when I first got started, it's the bigger problem you can solve, the more they will pay. So constantly just think about what is the next problem I can solve, what is the next solution for them, and obviously based on the time that it's costing them, the effort that it's costing them, or the inconvenience that it's causing them, you can justify the price based on how much they are saving, how much easier it becomes for them, and how much they are gaining. So to take a gardener, for example, a gardener can go to a house and offer to gurney the pavement for $10-20 and just quickly run through it. But once he's there, he can notice the next problem, that maybe their gardening needs a bit of pruning, or maybe their grass, their lawn needs a bit of mowing. And then he can start looking at what is the next problem. And as he's having that conversation with the client, he can keep coming back and then put forward that, hey, I've noticed that your lawn needs a bit of a trim, or your garden needs a bit of tidying up. And having that relationship with the client, you get to know how much it's actually costing them. And then you can solve the next problem for them. Then you can move it up. You can then step it up. Same as someone who's a masseuse. That yes, someone comes in for a general body massage, and as you're getting to know the client, you get to know where the pain points are, what is really causing the stress, what is causing the tension, and then you can just put forward as to how much is that actually bothering you, how much is that costing you, what inconvenience is that causing you, and then to go focus solely on that problem, to focus solely on that point. You can then step it up a little bit because it is focusing purely on that one problem.
Yep. And ultimately too, guys, it all comes down to there's a ladder. There's a ladder of status when it comes to charging a certain premium price point anyway in business. So obviously there's places you can go get a haircut for $15 or whatever it is, I think. Anyway, I know men can. I'm sure there's places where you can, there are cheaper, places that people can go get haircuts. Then there's the high-end salons where, sometimes you're paying up to $500 for a cut and colour, and this is where you got to ask yourself, why, and there's people out there go, oh, it's ridiculous, I'd never pay that much. But bullshit, you would if hair is important to you, if, and if you know that the people you're going to are just experts at having your hair look absolutely phenomenal, and it's an important thing for you.
Yes.
So it's one, understanding your market, it's also climbing up the ladder. So in the ladder that I'm referring to, the very, very first, the bottom step is generalist. It's somewhat like, does that make sense? It's someone who's a generalist, So at the very, very bottom step, we've got a generalist who can cut anyone's hair. Yeah, your mum, your sister, the local town hairdresser, sort of old school village kind of,
Yeah.
Now the truth, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But they're not giving you a celebrity hairdo. They're just, you look all right. You look, normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're a generalist. Then the next step on that ladder is a specialist. It's someone who then starts to specialize in color, in fine hair, in, managing curly hair. They start to specialize in certain problems, like Quinton said, that once they go deep on a problem and start to understand that person, well, what does it mean to have ridiculously curly hair that's frizzy and getting in your face and you're eating it and it's in your eye, it's in your ear, and I have no idea if this is true, by the way. So then then they get then they become a specialist in that kind of stuff, where they've gone a bit deeper, they've done more research, they know more, they can actually advise you even more on product, and they know all the tricks of the trade that the generalists don't know.
Yeah.
Now, specialists can charge more than generalists, yeah? Like, even think about if you go to a GP, a doctor, GP.
Great example.
Yeah, we here in Australia, Medicare covers that, or you've got to pay a little tiny bit more, but ultimately, though, it's pretty much free. Then if you've got a specific problem, like your eye's done something weird, and and they send you to an eye specialist, that's a different price point. Now you've got to book a special appointment, and now the price point's gone up quite considerably.
Yeah.
Because this person has specialized in fixing a problem. They've niched, so to speak. Now, within this ladder, there's more to it. Depending on the industry you're in, the next place after that is expert status. It's where you're actually known as the expert in your space for X. So depending on whatever it is that you're doing, like Quinton, for example, is a Facebook expert. He's specialized in Facebook. Now he's an expert in that particular thing.
Yeah.
So for you guys, what you want to get to is wherever you are in business, you do want to go at, like, generalists will always charge stuff all. So if you look at coaching as an industry, life coaches don't charge that much because they're generalists. Then when you go into specialities, then when you go into specialities like relationship coaching, or
business, career, leadership, all of them. Yeah.
That's right. You go into a speciality so you can up your prices. Ideally, though, you want to go into expert status where you've been around for a while. You know your market better than friggin' they know themselves. That that you can actually come up with innovative ways to solve their problems before they even know they have them.
Yeah.
And they're blown away and they rave about you. And so this is where ultimately what you're doing is, one, get awesome at what you do. Really, take pride in what you do and become the best you can be at what you do. Increase your price points as you go, add the value, innovate as you go, and honestly, guys, it's just incrementally climb the ladder. Up your prices a little bit, have a few people say yes, up them again, have a few people say yes, up them again, have a few people say yes, until you get to that sweet spot where you're profitable, instead of taking a massive leap and having no sales come in for a very long time.
Yeah.
What would you add to that?
I would add to that, it's also be have permission to play with it as well. That, let's just say, go wild and ask a client or tell a client that this is the new price, and see how they respond. If they give you a bit of resistance, then obviously take that on as feedback and then adjust it for the next one. But if they say yes, then you've got it. I remember when I first had recently when I took on a personal coaching client, and we were just having a conversation, and it's the way that I've positioned myself as the authority for him to come to me. And we were just having a conversation, and he goes, okay, so how much is this going to cost? And I just put it out there that, hey, I don't do this often, but for this special occasion, I'll do this for $750 a month. And it was just, he said yes straight away. And afterwards I was thinking, holy crap, I could have charged so much more. But at that point in time, this is what I felt that I was worthy, and for the problems that I'm going to be solving, this is the value that I would be giving. Another integrity that I like to think about is a 10 to 1 value ratio. That for every dollar that they give you, you give them at least $10 back, and to continue that relationship of the value ratio, that if you are charging $100 per hour, then make sure that they are receiving at least $1,000 worth of value in return. That is, it's helping bettering their current situation and condition. If you are going to step it up, then make sure that it's in line with your value ratio, whatever it is for you. That if it is in the beginning that you do a $1 to $2 ratio, or a 1 to 5, whatever it is to you, make sure that you stay congruent with that. That's how you know you're going to be stepping it up each and every time. At least that's how it was for me.
Yep, and that's why it's, honestly, it's up the price and up the value. Constantly be thinking, how can I give you more than everybody else in my industry? And just keep, and the other thing too to mention here is, if you've like old clients, doesn't mean that you automatically tell them that that the price is changing. You can actually like smooth them into it, or depending on the nature of your business, some of your old clients just stay at the old price point. And that's it. Like, that depends on the nature of the business. So if you've got coaching programs, that run for 12 months or whatever, you don't just automatically tell people, hey, I know you signed up to this, now we're upping your prices. So depending on the nature of your business, some of your clients, the old ones, stay at the old price point if they're still on a continuous package. Otherwise, you tell them, hey guys, I've had to increase my pricing because my business actually wasn't profitable in this model, but I've also added all this cool stuff in for you.
Yeah.
So I can give you more. And I've done this so I can get you a better result. Yeah.
That's an awesome way, especially with the old ones, that you could just say that you're discontinuing this service, but you're actually adding it into a new service because they're already part of it, and then you put the new price with the new service. So they feel that they're getting this as an extra plus the more value that you're going to be giving, and that's how you'll be smoothing them into the new price point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as a result, guys, go out there, look at your price points, make sure that you're charging what you're worth, make sure you're charging an amount that actually gives you the ability to give more love back, to your clients, and has you market like a rock star. And let us know. Join, hop onto Marketing with Vino Club. Let us know. Ask any specific questions. We're here. We're happy to assist. And I think upon this note, you're probably ready to go off and explore Rome a bit more.
We are about to head off. Guys, another shameless promotion. Join Marketing with Vino Club. We would love to hear from you. marketingwithvino.com, that is. Click on the button. One of the legends that are in the group, they will be adding you to the club, and you'll be welcomed. You'll be able to share your story, share your mission, and then team up and communicate and engage. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, and let us know what you want us to talk about. What topics would be awesome and red hot for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out. Speak to you next time. And Quinton, thanks again for hanging out with me from Rome of all places.
Sorry I couldn't join you with a glass of wine, but I'm sure I'm going to make up for it when I get back.
You better. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gabs. Ciao.
Bye.
You've been listening to Marketing with Vino. If you enjoyed this episode and want to access the resources discussed in this episode, go to marketingwithvino.com and select which episode you've listened to.